Are there some bad habits in your life that it's just time to grow out of? Have you tried other methods but nothing seems to stick? You end up back in the same old, same old? Come with me today. I want to keep sharing with you the process that I have used to overcome a 15-year-long pornography addiction, to overcome a 10-year marijuana habit, and the process that I'm actually using right now to continue to improve my eating habits. Here's why this show is different. I can't judge you, and I cannot instruct you on how to live your life. On this show, I share with you the processes that I have used to develop solutions for myself. This is a framework that will allow you to see where you need to go and exactly what you need to do to take ownership of your life and to go forward and begin to develop into the person you know you can be. Well, thank you for checking out Self-Control. This is the podcast and YouTube video series that wants to inspire you to take control of your mind, of your mindset, and begin to develop yourself into the person you believe you can be. So in our last couple of episodes, we've been talking about this framework, this process for developing past bad habits, quitting bad habits, if you like. Now, we've been talking a lot about the first few steps, which are observation to create awareness, acceptance, and expression. So if you'd like to hear more about those, please check out our last couple of episodes. So often we rush to change. We rush to make ourselves feel bad because we are a certain way. Today, we're going to talk a little bit more about the importance of acceptance. You have these bad habits. It's important to live with them. It's important to think about them and not just run away from them, not beat yourself up and say things will be different. Why is it important to accept these bad habits? That is the beginning of going forward in this process. I also want to talk a little bit more about expression. To me, expression is the fun part of this process, where we talk or write or paint or photograph or dance or yell at the neighbor, where we get our ideas out of us. And then from there, we'll move forward into the second phase of this process. We've done all this looking at ourselves, all this talking about ourselves. We have to reflect now upon those things. And we'll talk exactly about why it's important to make time to reflect. Now, finally, I'm going to end today's episode with a very difficult question. So stay with me right till the end. I'm going to put this question out. I'll give you my answer. I would sure like to hear your answer in the comments as well. So let's get back into this process and talk a little bit about acceptance. To accept is to take to oneself. We see what we are doing. We're aware that we are doing it. We do have to, at some point, take it on ourselves and say, I am doing that. A lot of these bad habits, we may be aware, we may be willing to say we're going to change, but that's the problem right there. I'm going to change tomorrow. I wasn't like this in the past. I don't like the way things are, so in the future things will be better. To accept, to take home and say, yes, I am doing these things. That acceptance cannot often come in the present when we are in the midst of the act, but accepting can happen after the fact and say, I am doing these things. I see myself doing them now. Yes, I am doing them. Like, look, this is a lifetime process that I'm on, and this is a lifetime process that I'm trying to share with you. And the fun of it, if there could be any fun about it, is that we get to watch ourselves act and then decide what that action means to us as far as this process of self-betterment, self-development, self-understanding. All these things we do all day long. You get to look at them and choose what that means to you. Now the fun truly begins as we get to the expression stage. Now, the Latin root of this word express is to press out. You get to now become a creator. You get to create substance. You get to create something from your senses. And if you're not naturally creative, that's all right. I do believe, though, that every human, in some way or another, is gifted as a creator. You have to find the way to express yourself. You have to find the medium in which you can press out these thoughts that you have about yourself. Me, it's all about journaling, okay? I sit down and write pages every day. If that's not your deal, that's not the game you want to play, find another way. Maybe you like talking. use the voice notes app on your phone, set up some way to record your voice and listen back. You could, in theory, even record voice notes on a device, on your phone, have them transcribed by AI. What could go wrong there? But then you could have a text format of your speech. You could listen back to the voice note and make notes. You could paint. You could write on the walls. You could go yell at the neighbor. It's not unthinkable that this could start as a conversation with someone that you trust, your partner, your parents, your friends, your therapist, whoever. I can't think of too many more ways to say this other than we have to move from being dispossessed of ourselves, where we are just acting unchecked without self-control, right? Like everybody wants to know, well, how do I develop self-control? Look, I can't tell you, but what I can tell you is that you need to start looking at yourself and talking to yourself about what yourself is doing. Otherwise, the self runs away unchecked. Moving on, this is the step that I would call impression. So it's the opposite of expression, right? You have now pressed out these thoughts on yourself. The time has come now to let them press in on you. You need to reflect on what you have written. You need to read what you are writing, not every day, at least once a week, I suppose. You need to listen to what you are saying. You need to recap these conversations that you are having. What we are talking about now goes back to that issue of mastering our time. Quite often we get anxiety about what's coming in the future, what happened in the past, and quite often we think, well, in the future things will be different. In the past, things were better, and what gets lost is that moment-to-moment control in the present. We have spoken a lot on this podcast about being mindful in the present. I do think that what goes along with that is being responsible with our time, in the sense of, I do need to think about the past. I do need to think about what I've been doing. That's what this expression is all about. It's taking time to responsibly think about what you've been doing. Instead of being, oh my God, I'm anxious, I'm all over the place, I'm so ashamed of these things that I've done, or what have I been doing? And letting those take over your present thoughts. We're now talking about responsibly sitting down and writing about your past, and then partaking in this process of accepting and deciding, well, what is this worth to me? What does this mean to me? This to me is the most empowering thing. And I say this all the time. This is one of the many empowering things that I give to you for free. It is that we can become empowered. We can become in possession of our life if we're willing to look at it and talk about it and decide what it's worth. It is this process, and I'm motioning to my whiteboard next to me. It is this process that allows us to become in possession of our life. Look at what you're doing. Become aware of how and when the problems creep up. Decide for yourself every detail that you see. What is it worth to you? What does it mean to you? Where does the meaning lie? And then start talking about it, right? Like I saw a post on one of these mental health groups on Facebook, and the guy said, well, why for men is it hard to talk? And I thought about it and I said, well, it's because we have not trained ourselves to express ourselves enough, and we haven't thought enough about what is going on in our life, right? Life is just happening. It's like this mindless eating that I'm struggling with. When I begin to use food like a drug and eat mindlessly and eat as I'm distracting myself with podcasts or TV, it is because I am not thinking about what I am truly thinking. Right? It's mindless. It's when we are ignorant. It's when we are blind. It's when we are focused on the past or focused on the future, we lose control in the present. All right, well, thank you for watching and thank you for listening. Leave a comment below. Why is it so hard for us sometimes to express ourselves, men or women? If you can begin to see those moments in your life when you slip off the path, when you start to lose self-control, you can begin then to find acceptance. And I think then that we can begin to see them coming. We can spot trends. We can talk about them. We can express them. We can accept that they are a part of who we are. And we can find that desire. We can find that substance within us to start to work on them, because we know exactly now what they look like and feel like. This, I believe, is where the solutions come for us. This is the framework to develop a way forward for you. You've watched yourself. You've thought about yourself. you can start to see quite plainly what it would look like to go forward. So in our upcoming episodes, we are going to now further this process. We've begun to reflect upon these things that we are doing. How do we go from reflecting upon what we're saying and what we're seeing into creating a plan of action for ourselves? We'll talk about that in some upcoming episodes. Please, if this content is resonating with you, I would simply ask that you share it with one person in your life who may also enjoy it, who may find it interesting. Would love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, check out our audio podcast feed for more content, and don't forget to subscribe for more YouTube videos. We're going to speak again in the next few days, and until then, I will wish you the best going forward.